Mr. X with the Extreme channel. Look what is going on. I got two of them, and they're black and red. Probably something you'd say after you got kicked in the nuts, but pretty excited because it's not everything I expected it to be in a good way. So we're going to do something a little non-traditional today. Technically, it's not two of the same character by different companies, but I think you know what time it is. We're going to hash it out, and it is time for Xtrumble number 2. We have Daredevil Premium Format, exclusive from Sideshow Collectibles, and Daredevil Shadowlands Premium Format from Sideshow Collectibles. Let's find out what's going to happen. Mr. X with the Extreme channel here. We are doing an Xtrumble, and it's not a traditional Xtrumble. First, what's an Xtrumble? An Xtrumble is an extreme rumble. It's a newer part of the channel where we take two pieces of the same character and we compare them and try and figure out which one is better. This is going to be a big part of the channel moving forward because in the Extreme collection we have so many statues of the same character. In some situations like the XM Mystique and the Sideshow Premium Format Mystique, go check that one out. I just have 2 Mystiques, but I have some characters who I share 12 to 15 of the same character. And moving forward, as I said, going to be a big part of the channel. You can probably expect at least weekly Xtrumbles in 2020, and I'm really excited about it. And this is going to be a non-traditional Xtrumble. The reason for that is it's actually an original piece and it's a variant. A variant is typically when a statue manufacturer reproduces the same statue, usually the same sculpt, typically a different paint, but sometimes there may be 1 or 2 other things different, and that is the case here, which we're going to talk about. I didn't want to do a traditional review on their new black Shadowlands Daredevil because a lot of it with the sculpt is almost identical to the original. Now, I have done a review on the original, so go check that out if you're interested in seeing that, but it's a fantastic paint job, fantastic sculpt. Now let's talk about the character really quick. This is Daredevil Shadowlands. What Daredevil Shadowlands is, it's a comic that I've never read before. It's actually a series of comics where essentially Daredevil goes back to Hell's Kitchen and he becomes the leader of this ninja gang that still enforces their version of law, but they do it a lot more less politically correct. Not that Daredevil was ever politically correct, but Matt Murdock, they go and they beat the shit out of people. And this is, I believe they kill people as well. This is after he's defeated Bullseye. Well, in the end, you actually find out that he's possessed, and that's all I'll say, because I haven't read it, so I don't know the exacts. I just found that on the internet. But Sideshow threw this as a curveball at everybody, so let's do a little bit of background on the original one. Sideshow came out with the Daredevil Premium Format, probably, I want to say, like maybe less than a year ago it was released. And they made 2,250 of them. 750 were the exclusive version, which had an additional switch-out head, which is going to be really important when we talk about it later. So right now, here's the original head. Here's a stock photo of it. And then the exclusive head that the 750 pieces came with is right here. It's more of a classic version, not as high-tech. And then also he has a sneer on his face as opposed to the calm face you saw earlier. And he retailed for like $560, $570. Well, during Spooktacular, which is a once-a-year event that Sideshow does a lot of reveals, supposedly, and a lot of sales, and they make you stay up for 7 days straight to get $10 in rewards points, they revealed this guy on day 1 out of nowhere, the Shadowlands Daredevil in the black suit. And just like everyone else, I thought it was amazing looking. I even liked it more than the new one, which part of us as collectors, we don't know if that's because it's brand new, it's more enticing, or if it really is more enticing. So I figured, you know what, let's get this. I'm not a flipper by any means, but if I hate it, I'm sure I can get my money back because they only made 150 of them compared to the 2,250 they made of the red version. So kind of a no-brainer. He was 15 bucks more, I think. He was $580. So I picked him up. He shipped really fast and couldn't be more happy with him. But let's talk about some of the differences and really get into the Xtrumble part. Now, first of all, let's continue with that ES. So ES means edition size. If you hear people say that, it's how many of this statue did they make? Well, as we just talked about, the one in the back, they actually made I can't even do the math on that. 1,500% more. I think that's right. 1,500% more. They made a shitload more of the one in the back. They made 2,250 as opposed to the 150 of the black one. So kind of a no-brainer. The black one wins with ES. And why does it win if it's a lower ES? Because it makes it more valuable. The less you have, the more valuable it is. If you have a statue out there that has tens of thousands, obviously anybody can get their hands on it. There's quite a few segments and extreme topics and stuff like that that have been aired on this channel, so go check those out to understand more about value of a statue. Now, the red premium format Daredevil came as an exclusive option. So it came with an alternate head. We looked at the two heads earlier that it came with, where the Shadowlands Daredevil only came with one head. But here's the cool thing. It's actually a combination of heads from the original red premium format. It's the higher end head with kind of the technical gear, but he has the sneer. Where in the original Daredevil, this new advanced head has a more serene look on his face. Here's a couple of pictures comparing them to kind of give you an idea. So first, here is the original classic head. So it doesn't have that bioelectronics on the mask. And it has a sneer, just like the new premium format. Then here is the matching head where the face is actually different. You can't see the teeth, you can't see the lips. And then here is just me having some fun. And interestingly enough, when I purchased the red premium format, I liked the more advanced head better with the sneer. So I always kept both heads readily available because it's one of the few switch outs I actually used. Now I have the best of both worlds. And that's my personal opinion. So originally I was going to say that because this one has more switch out options with the head, then it's a better choice. But for me personally, I'm good with the new one. So I think it's kind of a tie in my opinion. However, from a valuable standpoint, having different display options is always more advantageous. Now, both of them have different display options when it comes to his billy clubs, and they have the exact same display options, but you can display it as I show here, where there is no string attached to them. You can see the Shadowlands Daredevil has that, just a cap on the end of the billy clubs. And then the original Daredevil has the rope between the billy clubs, and you can pose the rope however you want. Again, both pieces have both options. You can do whatever you want. I probably could have put some of the red tips on the one in the back just to see what it looks like. But let's do that. Here's some pictures of that. Whole lot of different things you can do here. So the rest of the differences are all about paint. And with that being said, the paint actually masks some of the sculpt in the black Daredevil, the Shadowlands Daredevil, which I think is kind of a takeaway, but I'm getting ahead of myself. So let's look at the comparisons with the paint. Starting at the base here, interestingly enough, I actually like the old color better. I traditionally like darker colors, so this gray one, that's the original red premium format. However, I think it would have been too dark for the new Shadowlands Daredevil, so I like the fact that they lightened it up tremendously. Not only the base itself, you know, I'm showing different shots here, but the window as well, different shade, the broken window. Now, interestingly enough, when you're looking at the concrete brick part of it, you see a lot of dirt that's painted into the original, the gray one, where you can't see that as good with the new beige, whatever color that is. So So the bases are a little bit different. One other thing I noticed with the difference in paint colors, where the rocks are broken, here's a shot right here, the newer version looks much better, at least in my opinion. It looks more realistic. Could be that they were able to add different tones to it. Now let's talk about Daredevil himself, the paint job on him. Ironically, they almost mixed and matched, completely reversed the colors. That's the word I'm looking for. They almost completely reversed the colors with some exceptions. So for example, where red premium format Daredevil was black, now he is red, and vice versa. But that's mainly on the small details, not some interior parts of the bodysuit. So let's take a look at some of these pictures right here, starting at the bottom. So you can see his shoes are almost completely reversed. With some exception, the tread is obviously still black on the bottom, and the laces are still black. Kind of neat how they did that, and they kept this body armor or some lip on top of the boots red in both of them. And even here you can see how it takes away some of the detail. It's still sculpted in there, but you can't see it because there's so much black, which is traditionally why painters don't like to do a lot of black costumes. And then moving up on his body, they changed everything to black on his suit. So on his original suit, he had red and black, like his knee pads were black, his armor, the texture on his sides was black. They kept that black and then turned all the other uniform areas black. And then the other exception here is his insignia, his DD, his double Ds on his chest. And there's definitely a joke in that. And then his belt buckle. So they maintained that shiny red on the Shadowlands. So it's almost too much. It's kind of overpowering. But what they did is his wrists, the bracelets on his wrists, and his billy clubs, of course, they turned red. And not only did they turn red, but it's not the same red as the original premium format. It's this metallic shiny red. And I think that makes the statue pop a lot more. It's not as boring, and the overpowering black on Shadowlands doesn't overpower as much. Same thing with his billy club holsters right here. And again, I haven't read the comics, so I don't know how accurate these colors are. I know his costume was black. Then one thing I want to point out in his eyes are his portraits here. Notice his eyes are red in both, as Daredevil traditionally is, but he looks really badass when it's contrasting against the black. I really appreciate that. Pretty cool. So with paint, I'm actually going to give it to the original red premium format because there's a lot more contrasting and it doesn't cover up a lot of the cool parts of the sculpt that Daniel did. Both sculpted by Daniel Bel, obviously, because it's the same sculpt for the Shadowlands one. So sculpt goes to the original one. Paint goes to the original one, without a doubt. The base, I love the fact it's different. It really excites me. So which one's better? This is the big question. For me, again, this is for me. So those of you that disagree with me, go ahead and give me a thumbs down, because we all know that if someone disagrees with you, they're wrong. That's how this world works. But if you are going to have a Daredevil piece, whether it's this one or Iron Studios' new one that's coming out that's really popular, here's a quick picture of that one, or any of the older pieces, and you're thinking, I just want a Daredevil piece, then you don't want to go with a variant. You don't want to go with one that's not the typical storyline, that when you think of Daredevil fighting Kingpin or hanging out with the Punisher, you want to go with the red one. So I think if you're only going to get one, the red one is the way to go. If you're going to get two, I think you absolutely get both. Both are killer. I love the fact that they changed the portrait, where it's the more advanced helmet with the sneer on his face. I love the fact they did that. To me, it's a knockout of the park. like I said, I went ahead and bought him just because I knew he'd be valuable. And again, I'm not a flipper, but I figured I could get my money back worst case scenario. But I'm definitely going to keep both of them because now I'm going to display his more advanced helmet on both. And one will have, and they'll have different expressions. And then again, I'm doing kind of a different setup with the billy clubs. I don't know where I'm going to display this guy. He might, for now, he'll probably just go right next to him in XM Ghost Rider. I'm waiting for Sideshow's Punisher and a custom Kingpin to come in and put them all together. So we'll figure that out. And I'd love someone to do a custom Bullseye. Hint, hint. But yeah, really cool piece. I love the fact that Sideshow does this, and you guys know I'm not a Sideshow fan. Some of their stuff is amazing. I don't doubt that. It was a great reveal. It's a great execution. I love how not only did they reveal it, but people have it in hands. Some people had it in hands 2 days later. Really well done. I haven't seen any QC issues on it, so that's a huge plus. And I think these guys are going to be valuable for a long period of time, but I don't plan on him leaving the Extreme Collection anytime soon. Let me know your guys' thoughts. Which one, if you had to give one up, which one would you keep? And again, I'm keeping both, but I'd just like to hear your perspective. And let me know why. Whether it pertains to a specific thing that you saw on the statues or if it's something to do with how it would or would not tie into your collection. So if you had a choice to keep each one, please let me know. But I really appreciate you guys watching. This wasn't a true Xtrumble, but it was kind of an Xtrumble, but we have some really cool Xtrumbles coming up in the next 2 months of some awesome pieces. Some where we're going to put Grail against Grail, which that'll be amazing. Trying to think if there's no winners or losers. So anyway, if I had to get rid of one, here's my answer. If I wasn't doing kind of a Daredevil type theme with Kingpin, Ghost Rider, Punisher, if I wasn't doing that and I was just going to keep one Daredevil, I would keep the black one because I actually like looking at it better because I like black once you go black. And then, but if I was keeping it just one for the theme, I would keep the red one because he's more traditional. Just my opinion. So again, thanks guys for watching. Really appreciate it. And tomorrow is Halloween. It's why I went broke in October, so check that out. But even more importantly, make sure you don't miss November 1st video of Extreme Expos. Really freaking exciting. Take care.